I'd like to call the HR meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Kochenderfer?
Here.
Bowman? Bowman?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes, here.
Wipers?
Do you know who the chief judge is?
I am here.
Spiz is absent with notice. Zach?
Here.
Hoffman?
Here. Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have before us the minutes of our previous meeting of October 18th. Moved by Commissioner Middleton, supported by Commissioner Kochenderfer. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same, motion carried. You have before us the agenda for today. Is there any corrections, additions, deletions? Hearing none. Moved by Commissioner Wyper, supported by Commissioner Bowman. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same, motion carried. Is there anybody here today for public comment? Maddie Hatchett is in the audience. Welcome, Maddie.
Okay.
Oh.
You want to say something? Do you want public comment?
Oh.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'll
She
wait
probably
for,
on the
the
issue.
on the, do I speak now?
No,
Oh,
not yet.
you.
Not yet. Okay,
Okay.
thank you. First item on the agenda then is friend of the court fiscal year 2017 to 2021 cooperative reimbursement program grant amendment under 15%. Moved by Commissioner Zach, supported by Commissioner Middleton. Hi.
Hi, thank you. I'm Suzanne Hollier. I'm the friend of the court director, and I'm hopeful to get your approval on a small restructuring for my office. We are proposing to eliminate a position in our scanning department and upgrade 3 positions in that department because of the higher level responsibilities that those individuals are performing. So for example, right now they're testing the new Windows version that our whole office is going to have to use to make sure that it works with regard to our state child support program and also all of the county programs that are, like we have e-filing program just for front of the court. So they do a lot of those help desk type functions that many departments in the county would not perform for themselves. And we want to be able to use those employees working at a little bit of a higher level. And we're also proposing to increase the interstate department by 1 position. Our interstate support specialists also are performing not only more work as more people are moving in and out of the state with domestic relations cases, but more difficult work, higher volume of work, with things such as the recent passage of the last year. The state finally passed the 2008 Uniform Interstate Family Support Act, and that imposed some additional responsibilities on this unit, such as, for example, and not reflected in their caseload numbers, now if somebody wants to come into front of the court who lives here but maybe has their divorce in Nevada, we're required to allow them to come in and facilitate them participating in a hearing in their other state, even if they don't have a case here. So they have more work to do, and it's complicated work, and we're proposing to add 1 position to help them with that. Are there any questions?
Commissioner Wyper.
No opposition, but just, we've got the whole process going on the job study and classifications.
Right.
So that's going on.
Yes.
And these employees sounds like they're doing more work and they could have gone through classification appeal or something.
Yes.
Or some other, but you guys have been proactive.
Correct.
And you worked with HR on this?
We did work with HR on this.
Okay. So I know we're in the window.
Haley was very helpful. Yes.
Thank you. So you guys have been proactive, just kind of doing your own job studies.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And no
I mean,
issues?
their positions will change,
Yeah.
though. So it's not that their classification.
Well, it's position change, but they've been taking on more.
Yes.
More different work? Or it sounds
More
like it's a
complicated
change-
work.
change
More
of
complicated work. Right.
Okay. And then I did note one note. You said in the summary, you did notice that the whole process is changing. Technology is getting more technology based. You see that as a way of the future?
For sure, we've been participating a little bit in the e-filing pilot that's been going on in the circuit court, and only a small number of domestic relations cases are mandatory e-filing right now, but we, as part of that, in getting our head around that, started a process where all of the literally thousands of court documents prepared at front of the court are now electronically stored in the circuit court file rather than paper coming back and forth between our buildings, which had been the case in the past. So we developed with IT and with our scanning department staff a process where we put those documents in a county network drive and they get swept every night into the circuit court file. So yes, technology is definitely the way of the future for us.
Because, yeah, the note was, front of the court needs fewer scanning imaging related jobs or positions and more high level technical staff. So-
Yes, exactly.
And that's coming.
Mm-hmm. That's what this is about, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions? Roll call on the motion, please. The
Kokendorfer,
resolution.
Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Middleton,
Yes.
Wypert.
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Hoffman.
Yes. Motion carried. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. The next item, Sheriff's Office Fiscal Year 2018 Secondary Road Patrol and Traffic Accident Prevention Program Grant Acceptance.
A motion.
Moved by Commissioner Wypert, supported by Commissioner Kokendorfer.
Good afternoon.
Good
I
afternoon.
apologize, the undersheriff got tied up in another meeting, and so he won't be here to see Mr. Middleton in that outstanding sweater.
His wife made it for him for Halloween.
Very good. So, we're here today to ask for this grant acceptance. You know, this is, this grant was started in 1978, if you believe that's how long we've had it. Over the years, it used to fund 18 positions. Now we're down to 5, so shows how the funding source has dried up. Yeah, they get the funding source from a $5 surcharge in every traffic ticket that's written, and it's distributed to Lansing, the Michigan State Police, and then they have a very complicated formula that distributes the money back, which we feel in Oakland County that we're not getting our fair shake, but we haven't been successful. So another one of those anomalies out there. So we are cutting a position in this grant due to the less funding. So that's why you're here before this committee to approve the reduction on that one position.
Thank you, Commissioner Middleton.
Yeah, we're getting a reduction in amount. Is the total fund being reduced also, or?
It is somewhat, but our reduction was larger than the total fund reduction percentage-wise. But I can't tell you the allocation formula because they don't ever tell us really. So.
Yeah, it's been an issue for a long time, yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner
That was
Wypert.
one and the same thing. I mean, it's down 84,000. Was it down last year too?
Yeah, it's been down. It's been going down a little bit. I think it held steady for 2 years in a row there, but it's been dropping every year since 1978, basically. So, they never included an inflationary clause in it. So the $5 surcharge has been there forever. So I mean, you know, everybody gets raises, fringe benefit costs go up, vehicles go up, you know, all that stuff goes up, but there's no inflationary in the statute that allows for any increases.
And it's not based on number of tickets or anything like that?
Yeah, it is based on number of tickets, but the
In-
number of
in the
tickets
county?
in the state of Michigan.
Okay.
But so the number of tickets over the whole state remain relatively stable over the last 10 years, probably.
But then as to jurisdiction, it's the formula, we don't know how it's calculated?
Yeah, I don't know how the money's allocated to us. I can tell you by jurisdiction who writes how many tickets.
No, okay,
Yeah.
I meant allocation of money.
No, it's a formula the MSP come up with many moons ago, and it's based on about 5 different factors. One's population, density, you know, all different things. But yeah, I couldn't describe the outcome to you. So.
Are some municipalities getting increases?
I think Alpena County was the only one that got an increase. I don't know why, but when I looked at the whole list of the state of Michigan, so. Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Bowman,
Yes.
Middleton,
Yes.
Wypert.
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Kokendorfer,
Yes.
Hoffman.
Yes. Motion carried. Thank you. Next item, Sheriff's Office Fiscal Year 2018 Automobile Theft Prevention Authority Grant Acceptance.
Again, we're here to ask acceptance of
Moved by
this grant.
Commissioner Wypert, supported by
Sorry.
Commissioner
I
Bowman.
got that movement in there.
Go ahead.
And we're here to ask your blessing on this particular grant. This is the Automobile Theft Prevention Authority, which has been around since 1986. And this is funded by a $1 surcharge on every insurance policy, $1 for 6 months on every insurance policy on individual vehicles, not commercial. A couple things have happened over the years. This used to be the first couple years of the grant, it was 100% funded. Later on, it became 75% Automobile Theft Prevention Authority money and 25 local match. Now it's 50-50. And again, the same reason that I described in the other grants is here is that the funding level for this particular grant didn't include an inflationary factor. So they've done a couple of different things, and one of them is to reduce the match more to the county, less to the state. And there's also been some reductions. Now, in the last year or last 2 years, there's actually been a slight uptick because of the number of vehicles that are insured in the state. We're also pursuing legislation trying to get commercial vehicles to be included in this. We asked for a increase from the $1 to the $2, but we couldn't get it out of committee. So, because we think this is a great program, would like to. We are adding one part-time non-eligible position, mainly to do paperwork for this particular grant. There's a lot of when you write reports and get a stolen vehicle, then you have to do something with it, and so that takes a lot of officer time in order to do that. So we're going to take this part-time deputy and have him work on those, so that frees up the full-time deputies to be out on the street doing what we want them to do instead of being inside. So,
Thank you. Commissioner Middleton?
Yeah, can you imagine the pressure on state reps when they're asked to increase the fee by 100%?
oh yeah,
It's
it's $1, Mr. Middleton.
From $1 to $2, but still, the paper picks it up as a percentage,
Yes, I understand.
and it's tough to
But
do. So.
Commissioner Bowman?
Just a point of inquiry, and this actually was a question I had posed last year during this presentation. So I've got a succinct understanding of why it is that Detroit is included in this particular grant, more so because of the porous borders. In the event that a vehicle is stolen, it is going to go outside of Oakland County. My question relates to the additional communities within Oakland County that are presented as being grant acceptors. Royal Oak, Farmington Hills, Hazel Park. These communities, how are they ultimately selected or identified as being included in the grant?
It's up to the individual community. We approach all our local communities. Pontiac has an officer in this particular grant. We approach all our local police agencies and offer them and say, if you want to belong to the Auto Theft Prevention Authority team, let us know. We will submit you in our application. And that's really what it all amounts to. There isn't any rhyme or reason. A lot of it's based upon who can afford the 50% match.
Okay.
Because, especially if you go back in, and I don't know, probably 2007, there were several other communities involved in this grant, and they removed themselves because of that 50% match. Budgets were tight back then. So we're seeing some movement. I think you'll probably see a couple other, like you'll see Southfield came into the grant this year. I think you'll probably see some other communities over the next couple of years add into these teams.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Middleton?
Yes.
Weipert?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Okenderfer?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Hoffman?
Yes. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next item is miscellaneous resolution 17260, Board of Commissioners support of ban the box. Report to the board initiative and the removal of the inquiry into prior criminal history from the Oakland County employment applications. Commissioner Quarles.
Boy, this is different.
Is there a motion? Moved by Commissioner Zach, supported by Commissioner Bowman.
Yeah, thank you, Mr.
You're
Chair. Nancy Quarles, Oakland County Commissioner, District 17. And I have with me former Commissioner Maddie Hatchett from Pontiac. The issue that I'm bringing before the board is the initiative of Ban the Box. And just real briefly, for those who may not be familiar with Ban the Box, its intent is to remove from the hiring application the question that asks about a personal background, criminal background, off of the application. Although the discussion is around removing it from the application, that question can be asked. They're usually asked after the first round of looking at the applications, or if a conditional offer of a job is. So the question will be asked. It's just that the intent is not to eliminate someone from a job. The other thing that that's important that I really want to emphasize before I talk a little bit more about Ban the Box is I'm only looking at Oakland County's application. I am not asking you to make a recommendation to the state or to any cities, and I'll talk about the cities in a moment. So my intent is looking at this from a standpoint of the movement of Smart on Crimes initiative that's being pushed by the federal government. And one of the things that they're looking at is to help people who have served their time come back and be gainfully employed and become productive citizens. So that is the intent of Ban the Box. Some of our neighboring counties have already used this initiative, such as Macomb, Wayne County, Genesee County, and a number of cities have also removed the box from their application. So what I think this will do is help with recidivism. It also help with looking at a crime from the standpoint of people returning back and people can be able to find jobs. I also go as far as say I think there are certain jobs that this should not be banned from, and I'm sure there's a way to look at that and word it on an application. Having looked at our website over the last couple of weeks as I've been preparing for this, it says on County we have over 5,000 full-time jobs, and in there's a number of them that I think this will apply well to. I'm going to stop at this time and let former Commissioner Hatchett speak, because she has looked at this from several aspects as a member of NACO, and actually that's where I was first introduced to Ban the Box at a NACO meeting, a legislative meeting a couple years ago. And Commissioner Hatchett has also had an opportunity to work with this initiative when her action and holding an office in NACO.
Well, first of all, I want to say to you, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Feels a little odd being back and on this end. And I don't know what the reason is for y'all being so far away from me, but I didn't bring any eggs to throw. But I want to say to you, this is very personal for me. Over 30 years ago, my son committed a felony. And when he came out, he really wanted to turn his life around and has tried to. But when you X that box, and that's why I support getting rid of the box, you're automatically eliminated. It's like people don't take time to really take a look at you, what you've done, what you're able to do, what you might be able to do, and it kind of makes a mockery of equal opportunity. The point of going to prison is to pay your dues. And once you do that, you ought to have an equal opportunity to try to turn your life around. This was initiated in NACO through the Justice Committee. They felt this was important enough and they passed it. And then it was sent to the regular boards, and the counties were encouraged to take a look at this and to ban this. You still if you take this off the application, makes an ex-felon equal, you still have the opportunity to do a criminal check if that's what you want to do. But you might find that if you get rid of the box, you might inquire more, you may learn more about the applicant, and the applicant might be superior to the other ones that are applying for the job. We need to give our people a second chance. We don't need to just let that be something that we say, second chance. You know, we have second chance programs. We have re-entry programs. How you gonna have a second chance and re-enter if the first thing when you go to try to get a legitimate job, that's on there? So I really, really, really hope that you will support banning the box for Oakland County and let us truly be an equal opportunity employer. Thank you.
Thanks, Maddie. Okay. Mr. Wiper?
I've got a few questions. What, the check in the box, the application's still confidential or not, it's not publicized, right? There's no, comment here about a stigma check in the box. A person's application isn't being circulated around, they're coming in and applying for the job, and they have to be truthful about the questions asked.
Yeah.
But it's not, are you saying the stigma is just checking the box and then having to discuss it with the manager?
No, what I'm saying is the stigma is checking the box, because that removes them, in many opportunities, it removes them from even being considered. When you have a number of applicants that may be applying for one position, the first thing, I'm certainly not an HR specialist, but others are, the first thing you're looking for is how to do whittle down or eliminate something, and that's one of the ways that you can eliminate it quickly. And then on our and let me just say, I have not seen a paper application. I don't even know if we still have them. But when I looked on online at the applications that we have a section where a person is asked those questions, and in there the person is to explain if they have been convicted or if they pleaded no contest. They are also asked to explain where and what area that they were convicted in, and even if they're under an ordinance that's sealed or if it's been expunged, they have to explain that as well. And of course, they ask if there's any felony charges currently pending against you. Again, there's room to explain that as well. But to your question, the concern is, yes, confidential. I should hope someone's job application, I see no reason in our county that it's not confidential. The point is, when it's time to look at the number of applicants, and you're looking at elimination factors, that would more than likely be one of the first ones, having not had an opportunity to meet or discuss with the person.
Jordy, would you want to respond to any of the things said, and maybe along the lines that, you know, what constraints we might have based on the current merit system rules about this proposal?
So just to respond back to Commissioner Wiper, so the applications are received. There are some jobs that have minimum qualifications that may indicate that you cannot have a conviction. For example,
law enforcement.
Yes, law enforcement.
Yeah.
So as we look at the minimum qualifications that would disqualify someone, I'll say out of the gate, if there's a conviction of a felony, because that job has a minimum qualification. But if the job doesn't have that minimum qualification listed, those applicants are received and reviewed, just determining do they meet the minimum qualifications, and then those applications will be forwarded to the department for further interview. So in the initial phase, we're looking, do they meet the minimum qualifications that are specified to do that job? Some jobs differentiate and say they cannot have that conviction. and then they're disqualified at that particular point. But the applications are forwarded on to the department for review. And decisions are made from there to have individuals come in for an interview.
Go ahead, Commissioner Wiper.
So it doesn't necessarily automatically, it's just a possibility that it excludes somebody. You're saying if a person's going through and the job doesn't require a clean record, if a person's going through, a department head or something is going through applications, you think that they might kick it?
Yes, if that is if it
doesn't
stands
necessarily, and then a department head could look at the application and say, boy, this person is outstanding, and their job doesn't require have anything to do with convictions. They could still interview that person.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with that. However, if you're looking at a position where you've received a number of applications, what becomes important is you have to look at how you are going to remove some of the people. So, yes.
Like some might said 4-year degree, and that's an easy one. You know, no 4-year degree, they might be out.
Yeah, and that's true. But one of the things that I would like to respond to that Jody said is, I'm certainly not looking at this from the standpoint that every position would need to ban the box. I do understand that. And I'm a citizen of Oakland County, so believe me, I don't want the box banned on every position. However, when there's opportunities where that is not a criteria, I would like to see that box banned so that the person can get to where you said is, okay, they look at the minimum qualification in HR and pass it on to the department. There's nothing to say that when a department head or a supervisor is looking at 20 applications, the first thing you have one job, the first thing you want to do is to make sure that you can get to interview the best people. And when you're looking at qualifications, if that stigma, to use your word, or that box had been checked, that's a possibility of removing that person.
I thought the word stigma out of the resolution, but. Can I ask HR, don't we have a merit system of ordinance?
So,
and
yes.
is it part of that?
Yes, so there is the resolution that, actually it's in front of all of the employment, the merit system rule books is where the resolution is. But it does state that, it states here that Article 11, Section 6 of the Constitution of the State of Michigan provides that a Michigan county may establish, modify, or discontinue a merit system for its employees by ordinance or resolution of its governing body, which shall not take effect until approved by the majority of the electors voting thereon. So within the resolution, it does explain various processes. It's actually under Section C, number 1. Talks about the application process. And so it does indicate how the applications are received, talks about a closing date, it used to be postmarked, now it's electronically filed, but it does indicate in here specifically about applicants and, let me read here, application has documented record of a previous, I'm going to start from the beginning. Applications to take an open and competitive exam may be rejected if the applicant fails to meet the minimum qualifications for the classification. If the application was not received, postmarked, or electronically submitted with confirmation by announced closing date for filing applications. If the applicant has a documented record of previous unsatisfactory service in county employment or elsewhere of such nature as to demonstrate unsuitability for employment in a position of the classification for which the applicant is applying, or if the applicant has been found guilty of a felony, a crime of moral turpitude, or has received a dishonorable discharge from the armed forces of the United States. So this gives us very strict guidelines to follow. We can't make those changes to this.
It's in our ordinance?
Correct.
The ordinance requires a change of vote of the people?
Correct.
Have we ever had a vote of the people on ordinance?
Well, yeah, just not too many years ago, we had an ordinance.
2008.
Yeah, here it is.
I mean, so it's not unheard of.
Yes, it went to the vote, there was a change to the design of the Personnel Appeal Board, and there was some updating to the Merit System resolution in its existence.
And that
Kind
was
of like municipalities update their charters every so often to
Yeah,
clean up
same
things.
type of thing.
Yes, we require going to the vote of the people.
And this, I mean, that merit ordinance requires a vote of the people?
Yes.
And we're not allowed to change by resolution?
well,
Right.
the change that took place was in June 12th of 2008. And what I would like to request of the chair is to look at a study group to look at the legal language or what is needed to move forward in removing the ban of the box.
Okay, are there any other questions, comments, suggestions? Commissioner Bowman?
My commentary is more so going to relate to specifically the condition precedent of an individual checking this box and ultimately eliminating them from consideration of an employment opportunity. I believe it was Commissioner Hatchett who had made the recommendation that we include a line item that identifies percentage of minority applicants for a particular position as those positions are being considered. And we usually, see that that percentage if and when those positions are to be reposted for additional applicants. And I don't think it is an unknown factor that minorities are disproportionately incarcerated. And I see this as an opportunity to in our way to address those applicants and to increase that percentage of applicants to allow the opportunity to be viable for future employment. And ultimately, I would be in support of, at minimum, a support group or study group to take a look into our opportunity to address or modify this ordinance. So I see it as prudent and appropriate to do so. Thank you.
Commissioner Zach?
I just want to speak in favor of it. I had the experience when I went to the Harvard Kennedy School of Government in 2015. One person that was part of the group, a state rep from Minnesota, was an example of somebody who committed a felony when he was young and has worked very hard on this issue and gotten to where he is. And they passed legislation in their state. There are states that have banned the box, not just counties. So it is an equal opportunity piece. If I had 5 applications in front of me and I'm trying to hire, and somebody put that they had a felony, I might use that as a tool to rule out what could be a very fine candidate. So I'm absolutely, totally in support of study group, whatever it takes to move forward.
All right. Now, we do have a motion of support for this resolution to ban the box, and as we've been told, it cannot be done unless it's a vote of the people. So I don't know if you want us to vote on that resolution, the people who, made the motion and supported it, or do we withdraw that? And if you want to make a motion to create some kind of study group, I'm personally not opposed to that. I do believe everybody should get a second chance, and go ahead, Commissioner Zach.
So I'm going to remove my support for the motion and suggest that instead of this resolution, that I move to suggest that we have a study group. And can the chair of Human Resources create the study group, or does it have to be the chair of the commission?
Chair
Chair of commission. So, but our committee?
Either.
Okay, so I'm going to recommend that we have a study group to figure out how we can move forward on the intent of banning the box.
Okay, and that's a motion?
Yes, that's
There's
my motion.
support for that motion? Moved and supported. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, roll call, please. And before we get to that, I've just been told that I can appoint that committee if this passes, or the chair can, but I'd be happy to do it if it passes.
Thank you.
Zach?
Yes.
Hogenderfer is absent. Bowman?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes.
Wypert?
Yes.
Hoffman?
Yes. Motion carried.
Thank you so much.
And I suppose in the past, we've always done it based on the makeup of the board, and I have no problem doing that. I mean, we have a small committee here. I don't know if we'd want to be on, volunteer to be on the committee. Commissioner Bowman? Commissioner Wypert? One more? I mean, it's kind of hard when both. Who's that?
We're gonna draft him for leaving.
We could
Put him on there.
volunteer him.
Yeah.
All right, put him on there, we'll ask him. Did you get, what's that? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have to vote to appoint him? All right, so, what's that? We don't need to, okay. Okay, all right, we'll put it part of the record that we've appointed Commissioner Wypert, Commissioner Bowman, suggesting maybe Commissioner Hogenderfer might do it, and we'll ask him. If not, we'll go to alternate plan B, whatever that is. All right, any other business today? Well, we have a, excuse me. We have a communication here, moved by Commissioner Wypert, supported by Commissioner Middleton. All those in favor to receive and file signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Any other business today? We are adjourned at 2:08.